The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Y'all know the rest, but I'll say it anyway. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. The first live of 2025. I like how that sounds. The first live of 2025. We're here. I don't know how long I'll be here, but it'll be a good time. So make sure you guys chime in, give your thoughts down below. Definitely hit the like button. It's good to see. We already got 10 likes here, so I like that. I guess that's what happens when you schedule your lives in advance. So good to be here. There's plenty to talk about. I know like Turkey Al Sheik, of course. People love when I talk about Turkey Al Sheik, so I'm sure I'll get questions about him. Crawford Tank. I'm gonna let y'all steer the live. You guys ask anything you want as per usual, and I'll let the viewers decide what I'm gonna talk about. But I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's been having a great year. I hope everyone's been enjoying their new year so far, and they're off to a good start. I damn sure know I'm off to a great start, and I'm enjoying my last couple weeks here in Japan before I go back to the States and I'm going to a boxing show in Tokyo on Saturday. I'm going to go watch Mikita Nakano and Kenji Fujita and these guys in the featherweight division. They're fighting on a card at Corkin Hall, so I'll be there at that in Tokyo on Saturday. I'm still going to the Inoue fight on the 24th. So if anybody in Japan is going to be at the Inoue fight on the 24th, pull up, BT. It'll be a lot of fun. And I still got content and interviews and shorts from here in Japan that I haven't even posted yet. So things are well in the life of BT. But anyway, let's go ahead and acknowledge the people that have commented already. We got my man Trey Penner. He says, "What's the topic?" The topic is whatever you guys want it to be, because you guys know me. Unlike a lot of channels on YouTube, I follow everything. I follow everything from 105 to heavyweight. So you guys can decide whatever you want it to be, and I'll talk about it, because there's no bounds to what I know about boxing. I'll tell you that right now. Ray Earl says, "I'm tired of this dude. He's clearly jealous and disgruntled." Me? Jealous? What does BT have to be jealous about? I live a great life. I've overcame a lot in my life. You know, I've done some of the greatest boxing interviews of all time. I make great content on a consistent basis. I'm loved by people in my life and beyond, outside my personal life. I'm reviewed around the world for making boxing content. So like, what is there to be jealous about? What is there to be disgruntled about? I'm healthy. My mind is sharp. The Lord made me handsome. You know, there is nothing to be disgruntled about. So I don't know what there is to be jealous or disgruntled about. But you tell me. You tell me, Ray. What am I being jealous and what am I being disgruntled about? Because I don't see any reason to be jealous or disgruntled. I live a great life, and have been for a long time. Shout out to my boy Hockey. He says, "Keep it up, BT. Good to see you, Hockey." Falling Star says, "How was the New Year celebration in Japan, BT?" It was pretty. I mean, for me, it was pretty normal. I mean, I didn't really go to any crazy New Year celebration. I went to the fights. I went to go watch Hayato Sutsumi, and then I had a nice peaceful walk back to where I was staying and went to sleep. And it was a new year, so it was cool. Shout out to my guy Felipe. He says, "Yo, where are you at?" I'm in Japan. I'm in Japan. I'm still here for another couple weeks and just been enjoying my time. I'll be going to the Inoue fight in 8 days. I'm going to a club show here in Japan on the 18th, so in 2 days. So still got things going on here in Japan. I just had a friend from the States tell me he was in Japan today, so a lot of good stuff in Japan. Still to come. So do you really think Inoue will be Angelo Leo will be Inoue? Yes, and I have for 5 years now. You can go back on this channel. There's a video on me 5 years ago talking about it. This isn't a new opinion, like. And people get mad when I talk about Angelo Leo sometimes because they say, "Oh, you talk about him too much." But look, I didn't even bring him up. One of you guys brought him up, so just letting you guys know. I've always thought that. I've always thought that about Angelo, and I don't care if he lost Stephen Fulton. That was a long time ago, and he's a much different fighter in person than he was back then. So, look, Inoue has a lot of business to take care of before that ever becomes a possibility, as does Angelo. But yeah, if you ask my opinion, yes, and it's not a new opinion. It's only new to some people because Angelo didn't fight for 2 years, and I didn't really talk about it too much. But I've always thought that. He lost to Fulton like 5 years ago. He did. And I always say that, but people get mad when I say it, and they say you're making excuses. He's still the same fight. Like people and fighters don't change. Like, are you still the same person you were 5 years ago? I'd hope not, because if you are, then you wasted 5 years of your life and you're not much of a winner. But people can change. Fighters can change. Fighters can progress and regress. And Inoue's a great fighter. I take nothing from him. Anybody who's going to be competitive with him, let alone beat him, is a special fighter. So that must mean I think highly of Angelo Leo. That was a close fight between Leo and Fulton. I think Stephen Fulton won that fight clearly. Not being biased, of course, he won the fight clearly. He won 116, 112. I think they broke the record for like the most punches thrown on the featherweight title fight. But you said he would win against Inoue 5 years ago, but he lost. He lost to Stephen Fulton. He lost Inoue. He lost to Stephen Fulton. And I don't believe in triangle theory. So just because Inoue beat Fulton doesn't mean he would beat Angelo. Do you want me to, should I make a new video? So are you saying that I need to make a new video explaining why he would beat Inoue? Because I'll make a new video. If this is my indication from God and talking through you to go make a new video on why he'll beat him, I'll go ahead and do that. I wanted to ask, are you still going to watch the Inoue fight live in the arena? And do you believe Inoue will move to featherweight next year? Shout out to, what's his name? Ioli JZ. Shout out to you. Yes, I'm still watching the Inoue fight. I will be there at the Ariake Arena. So if any of you fine people are going to be at the Ariake Arena on the 24th, I would love to meet you guys. I love meeting the boxing fans that watch this channel and watch the Inoue content and watch the Japanese content and all the content. So I'll definitely be there. As far as Inoue at featherweight, I think that's up to him. Oh, hello. 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 Thank you. I think that's up to him. I think if Inoue wants to move at the featherweight, the ball's on his court. He's the money man, right? So I'm sure everyone in the division, they're gonna want to fight him because it gives them the biggest payday, and it gives them potentially not just the biggest payday, not just the biggest payday, but it also gives them if they were to beat him, that's every fighter's ticket to like the Hall of Fame and superstardom and all those things. BT Ramos is coming from Retalazzi and Boachuk this year. You know what? I think Jesus Ramos would probably fight him. A lot of guys don't want to fight Bakram because Bakram is like the epitome. If there was ever the epitome of a high risk, low reward fighter, I think Bakram is a higher risk, low reward fighter. He's a dangerous fighter. You're not gonna make a lot of money fighting him, or I don't know. Actually, I can't say that because he's a world champion. So if you're a world champion, a world title fight, you're gonna make six figures. So I don't know if we can say that for Bakram anymore. But he's still like a tough fight. Very, very tough fight. I think Ramos would take the fight. He's one of the guys I think would take the fight. Ramos versus Boachuk would be a good fight too, because Boachuk, just like Ramos, has a very good gas tank. He doesn't get tired. A lot of good fights out there for Jesus Ramos, but if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Jesus Ramos is fighting Jason Rosario next, so he has to take care of that. He should beat Rosario because Rosario was weight drained 5 years ago, and he's been weight drained for years. And I know he's one of these guys that doesn't live the best life in between fights. He goes to the Dominican Republic and he parties and he has a good time and he enjoys the fruits of his labor. So I think that Ramos will beat Rosario quite handily. Who do I got in the Brandon Figueroa or Stephen Fulton rematch? Oh man. First of all, I'm very excited about the fight. I went to the first fight. I was there in Las Vegas when they fought at the Park MGM. I thought Stephen Fulton won the first fight. I know a lot of people said that Brandon was robbed. I don't think Brandon was robbed. I thought Fulton won a very close fight. But I think this fight at featherweight is probably going to be a little different. I think, Brandon Figueroa is going to be stronger in this weight class. I think the physicality would be the difference. And unless Stephen Fulton makes some adjustments with how he's been fighting, because now he's with Bozianis as his trainer. Bozianis is like an aggressive trainer. He's known for training fighters in an aggressive fashion. So I think that Brandon, if Fulton fights aggressively like he's been doing, I think that'll play into Brandon Figueroa's hands, and Brandon probably outworks Stephen Fulton to a decision, maybe even stops him. But I'm selfishly, just being honest, I'm rooting for Stephen Fulton to win the world title, because if he wins the world title and beats Brandon in the rematch, then all of a sudden we have a scenario where we could potentially get a unification rematch between Stephen Fulton and Angelo Leo. And I know Angelo wants to avenge that loss. I want to avenge that loss, and I want to help Angelo avenge the loss. So yeah, I'm looking very, very forward to hopefully Stephen Fulton pulling it out. But I think it's a bit of a different fight at featherweight, just being honest. El Pinchy says, salute to BT. When are we getting Rick Laser back? Real soon. I have to call Rick. He's been getting mad at me because I haven't called him in a while. I just been busy here in Japan and busy trying to make certain types of content. Like every year around the early parts of the year, like late December, early January, I always get this urge to want to make a bunch of prospect review videos, and it happened again. So I did like 7 prospect review videos. I got like another 10 more I gotta do. So I'm trying to get those done, and then get this interview that I did a week ago done, and then probably do more interviews and things like that. But soon enough. What can I say about Sean Gibbons? Sean Gibbons, I love his gym. I've been to his gym in Las Vegas a couple times. Knucklehead's gym. It's a great gym. I know his son Brendan real well. But as far as Sean, I don't know Sean Gibbons too well personally. I've met him I think once or twice. He's never been rude to me or anything like that. But he's obviously a very resourceful guy. He works with tons of fighters that are from Mexico and the Philippines. Who will win between Benavidez and Morrell? That's a great fight. I don't think you can go wrong pick either of them, but I'm gonna go with Dave Benavidez. I think Benavidez's experience and his work rate, I think, is the difference in the fight. His work rate, his experience, and people like to think of Benavidez as like a plotter, a guy that likes to come forward and just press the action. But I think if people go back and they go watch the Alexander Gvozdyk fight with an open mind and don't just think to themselves, oh well, he didn't knock Gvozdyk out, so that means he was exposed or he didn't look good. No, he looked. I thought that at first, but then I went back and I watched the fight, and Benavidez, he showed some slickness. He showed different variations to his skill set. So. Oh, I'm sorry. Konnichiwa. Hi, konnichiwa. There you go. What about Sean Gibbons' case from the FBI? I don't know anything about that. And even if I did, I wouldn't be talking about nobody's FBI case on the internet. You crazy. Do I think, and shout out to Apollo, do I think Robert Garcia should have been Coach of the Year? I think he had a great case for it. I think, when we look at what Bam, Rio, I thought Virgil lost. I mean, that was one of the awards I didn't have a problem with. I think he had a great case for it. I don't think Dubois should have won KO of the year, as many of you know. I thought they got that award. The Trainer of the Year was right. I thought that the award for Fight of the Year was correct, Komotov and Ford, but they got a lot of things wrong, and I really do. I really question the boxing knowledge of the panel at Ring Magazine to pick Daniel Dubois' knockout over Angelo, but I've already talked about that in a 28-minute video, so I don't need to go into that again. Howard Miller says, there's a lot of good fights for Inoue at featherweight. Don't sleep on the pizza in Japan. You know what? Funny enough, I've had all kinds of food here in Japan. I have not yet had pizza, so I might need to go try that before I leave. It's a good suggestion. Do you think Cuellar can give Nakatani a battle? Most of my fellow Mexicans are not too optimistic. I do. I think Junta will win, but Cuellar has some power. Cuellar is strong. Cuellar is durable. Cuellar is a fighter that, I think defensively he has his flaws, and I think Junta will exploit those flaws as the fight goes on. But if you go and you watch him fight, the guy can clearly punch. And like I've always said, it doesn't matter if you knock out 20 cans or not. If you're doing your job and you're knocking these guys out, then then you have some power, and he's got some power. Junto still needs to clean some things up defensively, so I think if Junto is not careful when he's exiting the mid range, that's where Cuellar will have a chance to capitalize. So I think ultimately he'll probably lose. I think Junto will stop him late, but it'll be a good fight, and I think it'll be very game, and I think it'll come to fight. So that's what I can say about Cuellar from the little bit I know about him. Shout out to my pops with the $20 super chat. He says, "Let's get the year started on the right foot. Donate to the." I agree. Pops is getting the year off on the right foot. Super chat if you like the content, if you've been loving these interviews in Japan, if you've been loving these the interviews in Japan, the content, and you want to see it continue, feel free to super chat. Thank you, pops. What do you think of the fight of the year in 2025 from the fights that have been announced or will be announced this year? What I think will be the fight of the year? As far as the fights that have been announced, I mean, there haven't really been too many fights that have been announced, but I like the Benavidez Morel fight a lot. I like that fight. I like I'll say right now that's probably the fight I'm most excited about of like the big fights coming up. And then of course Angelo Leo when he fights Kameda, that'll be a fight I'm excited about for personal reasons. But yeah, I'll say right now Benavidez Morel better be a Bivol rematch. And definitely probably the number one fight for me in boxing is Dubois versus Joseph Parker. To me, that's like the most exciting fight. Two of the better fighters as far as their form and how they've been performing fight by fight. I think those guys are doing a great job, so I like that fight a lot. Ben Eubank, I mean, it's a great event. It's great for the British fight fans. I don't really care for Ben Eubank, to be honest with you. I think it's a point. I know it's not a pointless fight because of the storyline. It's the family name. It's the battle for legacy as far as the family name. But it's really and truthfully, it's a middleweight. And a guy that's fought as high as 168 fighting a fighter that's a welterweight. So to me, it is pointless. But I understand why it's happening for the British fight fans. Let me see what other. Corey Willis says stop doing drugs. I've never touched a drug in my life. I don't know why you're saying that. I've never touched a drug in my entire life. Smoked a couple cigars, but never touched a drug. So I don't know why you're saying that, but God bless you. Happy New Year. Should Moses Itama have been prospect of the year over Abdullah Mason? That's a great question. Now, I love Abdullah Mason. I think that he more than had a case. I mean, he was 5-0 with 5 knockouts. I don't have a massive problem with him getting prospect of the year, only because in his last fight he fought a guy that's like a fringe contender, a fighter that was like a top 20, top 30-ish. So it was a higher caliber of what Mason's been fighting, but Mason was 5-0 5 knockouts, so you can't go wrong with either. I didn't think it was a big rivalry. I thought there were bigger rivalries in the awards than prospect of the year. They both deserved it. That honestly might have been a case because they don't really do this too often, but I feel like maybe in this case they probably should have, because I thought Moses Itama and Abdullah Mason were both very dominant. I think maybe they both should have got it. What can you say about handler make installments to payment to fighter person? I'm not sure what you mean by that. What can you say about handlers making installment payments? I don't know what you mean by that. Rephrase that, because I'm not really understanding the question, to be honest. Shout out to my guy Android number 1983. Thank you for the super chat. He says, thanks for keeping it real on the Saudi stuff. Short-term games for long-term pain. Hitching everything to the zone is also a yes. Thank you. Like, I'm not really trying to harp too much on Saudi and Turkey, because I feel like I spend so much time telling you guys the truth, and a lot of people, they don't like it because they can only see what's happening now. They don't really see, nor do they care about how this affects boxing long term. Because let's be real, let's keep it a buck, because it's 2025, so let the gloves come all the way off. Most of the people that say they have no problem with fights going to Saudi don't go to fights in general. So like, and most people on YouTube that say, oh, well, True Schools will hate it doesn't matter where the fights are at. They don't go to any fights. They don't pay money to go to fights. They don't buy pay-per-views. They don't buy tickets. They don't even support their fighters. So really, they don't have an opinion or a leg to stand on. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I don't proclaim or profess to be some sort of rich person, because I'm not. Definitely not. But I put my money I put my money squarely where my mouth is. I buy tickets to fights. I go to fights. You know, I actually support boxing, so I can talk. I can get mad about fights going to Saudi because I actually support boxing in the States, unlike a lot of other people that say they have no problem with boxing going to Saudi. So you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to. I'm glad somebody else is agreeing with me. Is it true Hayata Susumi is next for Lamont Roach? I heard this fight against Rene Alvarado was a WBA mandatory. I have heard anything about that, and if it was a WBA mandatory of sorts or eliminator, then that would probably mean he has to fight. What's that guy's name? Albert Batir Gaziev, him or like either him or Otar Aronosian, because those are the guys that are at the top of those rankings. You know, Zhang or Caballel and Buatsi versus Smith. Who do you got in each? Great questions. Both fights I like. I think Caballel has the tools to beat Zhang, so it's not gonna shock me if he uses his superior stamina, if he uses his superior work rate to beat Zhang. But I just think he's gonna get caught. I think this is a guy that Zhang will knock out. So I'll go with Zhang by stoppage in that fight. And then for Buatsi versus Smith, I will go with Buatsi by decision. Yes, sir. Shout out to David Esther with the super chat. He says, and then I'll say this about Tank. Valenzuela never campaigns for the fight either. True enough. True enough. After Ryo beat Issa Cruz, people wanted to see Ryo fight Tank, and Ryo didn't really sound like he had any real, true ambition. He didn't sound thrilled about the idea of fighting Gervonta Davis. So he has to. I think people need to start blaming Ryo, honestly, because he doesn't have a problem with not fighting Tank. And so if he's not mad about not fighting Tank, then why should you be mad about Ryo not fighting Tank? Managers give the prize money to the fighters. Managers give the prize money to the boxers through installment payment. What can you say about the issue? I can say that the fighters and managers need to get on one accord with that. I don't think a manager should be receiving your purse and then giving you your purse, because if that's the case, that's going to always lead to the suspicion that your manager is stealing money from the fighter. You know, the fighter should have that worked out with the promoter and things like that. That's all I can say about it. Now, what I can say is in that particular case, sometimes you have scenarios in boxing where the trainer is the fighter's manager. So like a lot of times, I know that the standard fee for a manager most of the time in boxing is 10%. But if a fighter is your trainer and your manager, you're looking at upwards of them taking 30 to sometimes 40% of the fighter's purse. So I think it's up to the fighters to make sure that they're not getting screwed themselves. Any thoughts on Ernesto Mercado? Oh yeah, I have quite a lot of thoughts on Ernesto Mercado. In fact, tomorrow I'm supposed to not tomorrow, in 2 days, I'm supposed to interview Ernesto Mercado on the channel. I had a friend get in contact with me and asked me if I wanted to interview Ernesto Mercado, and I said yes. So I'll be interviewing him soon. So good fighter, dynamic puncher, someone that I think has a good attitude towards boxing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does now that he's got like a real promotional backing behind him with Eddie Hearn. Looking forward to seeing what the kid does. Who is Martin Bakoli fighting? He's fighting Efe Ajagba. Good fight. The Saudi guy is getting more control each day, and he just got here, and nobody seems to have a problem with it. So, except me and like 5 other people, apparently. Apparently me and like 5 other people are the only ones that can see how this is going to negatively impact boxing. 5 years from now, 3, 4, 5 years from now, and we're the bad guys when we say it. But yeah, just take it for what it is. Turkey will make some really great fights. He'll make some good fights here and there, so I'll enjoy the fights. But I'm looking very forward to seeing how everything plays out. Do I see Pedraza lasting the distance against Ernesto? No, I think Jose Pedraza is very, very shop-worn. I think Jose Pedraza is a fighter that has seen better days, and Ernesto Mercado should be getting him out of there. I think you should get him out of there in like 8 rounds. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT. Brendan Taylor, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm here. It's the first live of 2025. Make sure you smash that like button. I see we got 36 people here. I only got 23 likes. So listen, there should be at least like 30 likes here, man. Come on. Don't be stingy, guys. It's a new year. Spread the cheer and hit the like button. So this live gets pushed out to more people. Because YouTube's always trying to keep True School down. They're trying to keep me down. They're trying to discourage me. Hope that I just get discouraged on YouTube and stop making videos and stop talking about boxing. But that's never gonna happen. I don't get discouraged. I don't fold under pressure. So, am I still in Japan? Yes, I'm still in Japan, and I'll be in Japan for another. Is that 14? Roughly about two and a half weeks. So, yes, sir. I still got time here. I still got time to get great content, go to some fights. Do you think Turkey is exposing the promoters' lack of belief in investing in the sport? That's a great question. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that because a lot of the promoters don't want to invest in certain fighters because a lot of promoters don't want to lose money. Like, they don't want to invest in Shakur. They don't want to invest in Devin. But at the same time, right, it's a two-sided coin because yes, it is getting exposed that the promoters don't want to invest in the sport, but part of the reason why the promoters can't invest in the sport properly is because the promoters messed up the market by overpaying certain fighters like Devin and Shakur above market value, Al Heyman as well. A lot of these promoters created this problem. So Turkey is solving a problem that really could have been avoided. If that makes sense. Eddie Hearn said he works for Turkey Outlaw. He does. He 1000% does. They all do. They're all over there, holding his hand and kissing the ring and, singing Kumbaya and just getting the Saudi money. So, yeah, they all do. Bob works for Turkey. Oscar works for Turkey. Can I get an interview with you about your experience with boxing in Japan? What's your IG account? Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. You could definitely get an interview with me. My Instagram can be found if you just go on my YouTube page right here, and then go to the about section. It's right there. I got it right there in the about section. And my Instagram is just a kid from Dania. So follow me there or get in touch with me on Twitter at True School Sports, the same way it's spelled there, and we'll set it up. I have a lot of great experience to share about boxing in Japan, so I would love to share it. So just get in touch with me. BT will work for Turkey in 2025. Absolutely not. No way. And money talks. Listen, man. I don't get on here and I don't ever talk about like everything that happens to me in boxing because not everything that happens to me in boxing needs to be said on YouTube. But money will not buy True School. If money hasn't bought True School by now, money will never buy True School. And so I don't give a fuck about Turkey's money because I understand that not all money is good money, and I've understood this for years. That's why I've turned down working with certain channels, working with certain people on YouTube, because I understand that not all money is good money, and I have my own visions. I have my own things I want to do, and I don't need people interfering with what True School has planned for True School. Are you visiting other Asian countries? No, just Japan. Just Japan. Maybe in the future Thailand. Maybe in the future like South Korea. But for now, only Japan. B Young, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, champ. Hope all is well. Good to see you. Let me see, what else did I miss? Shout out to the Bay. Who's going to the Benavidez fight? I'm not going to be there because that's still going to be a couple days before I get back to America. So unfortunately, I will not be in America. That would have been a fight I would have been to because it's right there in Vegas. But I'll watch it and I'll definitely do a video about it, and I'll definitely have a lot to say about it because it's actually a really good card. It's a good card. Al Heyman put some pretty good fighters on the undercard. Like in the prelims, you got or in the undercard, you got Mirko Cuello, the featherweight contender from that's really highly ranked in the WBA. I'm telling you guys, everyone always asks me because they know how highly I regard Angelo Leo and whatnot, and they know I'm cool with them. So they always see me say like, "Oh, Rafael Espinoza." I'm not concerned about Espinoza. I'm not concerned about Brandon Figueroa. I'm not concerned about Nick Ball. Angelo beat those guys, but this Argentinian, this Mirko Cuello, This is a guy that I think could do something. You know, he's someone that's a threat to not just Angelo but everyone at featherweight. So watch out for him. If he wins this fight on the Benavidez card, he's gonna wind up being the WBA mandatory. So you could see Mirko Cuello potentially fighting Nick Ball by the end of this year, and I think he'll be a champion. So will Japan fall under Turkey rule? Will Japan fall under the Turkey rule soon, or will Japan do their own thing? You know, that's a good question. I think it would be a lot harder to get Japan to just fall under the wing of Turkey, because one thing about Japan and Japanese boxing is that Japanese boxing is so organized, and the Japanese Boxing Commission is very well maintained. So I think Japan is gonna always have and always want their own independence, because the Japanese, their way of doing things is just so much different than the rest of the world. So I don't think that will happen, but I do think that you will see the monster Inoue go to Saudi, because don't think Turkey just signed him to wear a little Riyadh season t-shirt and be a brand ambassador. No, Turkey's going to want the monster to fight in his country, to advertise his country, because the monster has a great fan base, a big fan base. So it makes business sense for him, you know? Hey, True, are you willing to talk about the corruption of boxing? To a point, I can't. Like, there's certain things I know that I can't say, because then I'll get in trouble. But you just ask the questions, and if I think I'm going too far, I'll cut myself off, and that'll be it. But yeah, you ask me whatever you want. I'm an open book. Shout out to Hyro. He says the people aren't complaining about Turkey. Although the people that aren't complaining about Turkey are the ones who don't like PBC or don't go to any fights in general. They don't appreciate the promotion of boxing. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Hyro. A lot of people that say, oh, well, we don't care that the fights are going to Saudi. We just want to see the fights. Are people that don't go to fights in general. They don't go to fights. They don't buy merch. They don't buy tickets. They don't really contribute anything as far as monetary value to the sport of boxing. All they contribute is their mouth, their asshole, and an opinion. So, do I think Stephen Fulton is going to lose? Yeah, I think Brandon Figueroa will get him this time, but I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping Stephen Fulton wins. Tim Bradley said something similar. He didn't bow to him. Now he's cut off from Turkey events. Yeah, I mean, that's how it's going to go. You guys got to understand. Look, you guys got to understand something about Turkey and Riyadh season. And I'm really trying, like, I'm not trying to talk about Turkey. So if I am sitting here talking about Turkey, it's only because you guys are bringing up Turkey. This live, I'm letting you guys guide the conversation. I'm not even trying to guide the conversation. You guys are guiding the conversation. Turkey, like, I was reading a story, and I talked about this in my last Turkey video, that Turkey, there was a man in Egypt who got pissed off that Turkey was trying to take over Egyptian football, Egyptian soccer, and basically, I guess he had tweeted something negative about Turkey, and this guy, I guess, does work on like construction or something like that. And he went to Saudi Arabia in 2021. So he made a tweet in 2019 that was negative about Turkey. He went to Saudi in 2021, and they arrested him for something he tweeted in 2019. This is actually a real story that happened. So, yes, in general, if you speak out against Turkey in any regard, it's not going to go well for you, especially if you go over there, you know? So, that's the truth. Felipe says, I go to a lot of fights, and I don't care about him having fights over there. That's true. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Look, not everybody has to have a problem with it. Like, for me, I guess for me it's a little different, because, like, I got friends in the fight game, and then it's not just one. It's like 3, 4, 5. So I know what Saudi Arabia how it can negatively affect those guys long term. You know, if they happen to get a Saudi Arabia check, then it'll be good for them short term. But I just know what kind of effects it's gonna have on boxing long term, and they're not gonna be good. So again, I feel like the mentality everybody should take is, you know, enjoy this moment in time. You're gonna get some great fights. You're gonna get some super cars like the one on February 22nd. But at some point, you know, Turkey's gonna establish enough power, and it's not gonna be like this forever. So just let you guys know. Speaking of corruption, I remember BT made a video of him saying he retired making boxing videos, but came back within three and a half. Yeah, that was 4 years ago, man. That was 4 years ago. You got a good memory and you've been here a while. That was 4 years ago, and I realized that wasn't the right thing to do, and I had a lot of people talk some sense into me. So, thank you for the reminder. I only care about fights at 168 and lower. Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting to hear because most people say they only care about fights at 168 and higher. So it's good to hear somebody say they only care about fights at 168 and lower. Yeah. So you don't care about who said that? Jazz. You don't care about light heavyweight. You don't care about Better Be at Bivol. That's a great fight. What are my thoughts on Schofield versus Shakur? It's a good fight. I think Floyd Schofield is going to be dangerous really early on. But I think that, Shakur Stevenson's ability to fight in the pocket and land those shots to the body, I feel like he should be hurting Floyd Schofield because Floyd can't really fight on the inside. Floyd can't fight on the inside. Floyd doesn't really have the know-how on the inside. And you kind of saw, if you paid attention to the Rene Talise-Garon fight, he wasn't comfortable in the pocket late in that fight. So I know it kind of sounds crazy because Shakur Stevenson's not a puncher, but I think he should actually break down and stop Floyd Schofield. So did you really retire making boxing videos for literally about 3 hours, or was it more like 3 weeks? It was like, it wasn't 3 weeks. It was like 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. BT, have you gotten a Japanese haircut yet? No, I haven't. The same hair I have now is the same hair I had when I left America. I kind of need this hair because it's cold outside. It's cold. I gotta stay warm. It's cold. Kevin Effects says BT, shout out to you doing your thing in Japan. Thank you, man. I'm trying. Definitely trying. I'm glad everybody's enjoying it and it's being so well received around the world. BT, what are your thoughts on Teofimo refusing to fight Silver Matias for his highest date? I'm disappointed in him. I'm very disappointed in Teofimo Lopez. I think Teofimo Lopez is, I think he's overvaluing himself. I feel like Teofimo Lopez, he still thinks this is 2020. He's not understanding that fighters have a market value. And I try to explain this to fighters that I know in real life. I always tell them, yesterday's price ain't today's price, and every fight has a market value. These things change fight by fight. So Teo still thinks this is 2019. Teo still thinks this is 2020. He thinks his market value is still what it was back then after beat Lomachenko and those kind of guys, and it's not. This is a guy that's been looking very pedestrian, very up and down a lot of fights, and that's why he's not really getting the money he probably wants. So he needs to get back to how he was in the ring back in those years, and then try to command more. But he's not doing that. He says, I remember it was like 24 hours. It might have been. It felt like 2 weeks to me. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 days. I don't know. I have to go back and check and look at the dates of the videos. I forgot. That was so long ago. So many things have happened in my life since then. But I remember that being a very trying and tumultuous time. So I'm glad you brought it up. Do you think Inoue U.S. return is really successful that will help the case with him putting... No. Following, so I don't think that he's going to fight at Dodger Stadium. I just think that, because I asked Bob Arum about it when I interviewed him, and he wasn't too open to or thrilled about the idea of doing the Inoue fight at Dodger Stadium. He said that it was too expensive and that he would probably look to have Inoue fight at the Staples Center or the new Clippers Arena. So the only way I think we could ever get an Inoue fight at Dodger Stadium in America is if he's fighting Gervonta Davis. I think Gervonta Davis is like the only opponent where he could probably fight at Dodger Stadium. If it's not Gervonta Davis, then I don't think there will ever be a fight for Inoue at Dodger Stadium. I think there should be an Inoue fight at Dodger Stadium. I think with proper marketing and things like that, you could do an Inoue fight at Dodger Stadium, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Lipinets over Adam Azim. Ooh, it's a good fight. Lipinets, I still think has enough in the tank to give him a tough fight. But I think Adam Azim will pull it out. I think Adam Azim has enough to pull it out and beat him and look good. What are my thoughts on the future of the heavyweight division, and what are my thoughts on Wilder and BLK Prime? My thoughts on the heavyweight division is that I think the heavyweight division is in good hands. I like Moses Tom a lot. I think he's got a big future. He's showing, improving that he is what they say he is, fight by fight. I like Lorenzo the Giant Killer Medina, who's not as hyped up or as advanced in his career as Moses, but I think he's going to be a big factor in boxing a couple years down the line. If you're looking for an American heavyweight that could do something in a couple years, not this year or not anything at the world level in the next year or so, but 3-4 years time, I would say Lorenzo Medina is a guy you need to look out for. I like him a lot. I still think Philip Hrgovic is going to be a factor in this division. So my thoughts on the heavyweight division are that it's in a good place. I think it's in a good place. And as far as Wilder on BLK Prime, I like Wilder on BLK Prime. If he still has it in his heart to compete, then cool. He'll fight Curtis Harper. He'll knock him out. He'll look good, and it should be fun. Should be a whole lot of fun. I just see it as fun. BT, do you think Hamza Shiraz beats Carlos Adames stylistically? I haven't seen Hamza fight yet. It's a tough one because I think skill-wise, I think in terms of skills, I think the more versatile fighter from a skill standpoint is Carlos Adames. But Carlos Adames, he tends to fade in the back half of fights, and Hamza Shiraz, I think, has probably better stamina than Carlos Adames. So it really depends on what type of pace the fight is fought at. I think that more than likely, Hamza will get the win, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Carlos Adames stops him within 7 rounds. Because he's very tall. He's a very tall guy. Sometimes when he gets a little sloppy in the mid-range, sometimes he gets caught being too tall. And if you're too tall, you can get hit with big shots and get knocked out. So I'll say Hamza, but it's a good fight. Who should Philip Hrgovic fight next? Oof, great question. If it was up to me, I would have him fight probably Guido Vianello, because Guido's, I believe he's ranked, and he's been picking up great wins. I like that fight for him, just to get back in the win column and get things going. If not him, then maybe like an Otto Wallin or something like that. I like those kind of fights, and then maybe Jared Anderson, something like that. MEZBX says Hrgovic versus Jarrell Miller. That's a good fight. Jarrell Miller and Hrgovic have sparred before. I know they sparred in South Florida. I've heard conflicting reports about how the sparring went, to being honest with you. But I think it'd be a good fight. Big Baby really impressed me with how he got in shape for the Andy Ruiz fight. Right? Was it Andy Ruiz he fought? Yeah, Andy Ruiz. And a lot of people thought he beat Andy Ruiz. So if that same dedicated, focused Jarrell Miller come back, maybe he could do something. Hockey says, BT, do you have different views now on Japan and Japanese boxers compared to before the trip? Any surprise or demotivated events happening to you this time in Japan? I mean, nothing's really I wouldn't say anything's. What I can say about Japan is one thing that constantly shocks me when I'm here, not just in boxing but just overall, is how kind everyone's been to me and how welcoming the lion's share of Japanese boxing has been to me, who's a complete foreigner, a complete outsider, just an American who loves Japanese boxing. I've learned a lot about how to better conduct myself with people being here in Japan. I feel like I'm a better person being here in Japan. One thing that I think that's maybe mildly surprised me a bit is because people always say, I always hear this notion from people who don't watch the lower weight classes. I always hear people say oh, well, the heavyweight division and cruiserweight and light heavyweight and these bigger divisions are so much better than weight classes like flyweight and super flyweight and bantamweight and featherweight because those divisions produce more knockouts. But here in Japan, what I find so crazy is that, and this is probably not the most surprising thing, but a slight surprise, is that it seems like everywhere I go in Japan, it doesn't matter the gym, it doesn't matter what part of Japan I go to, everyone can punch. Everyone has knockout power in Japan. It feels like it. Damn near everyone. It does and it be guys at 105, 108, 112, 115, 118, 122. Like all these fighters, they're just built like brick houses, and they have like really really sharp punches. So that's probably the amount of punchers they actually have in Japan. I always knew Japan had punchers. I always knew Japan had like guys that could knock you out, but it's like it's even more than I thought. And as I begun digging into more prospects, more contenders, more fighters ready to make that jump to the pros, I'm discovering more and more that Japan per capita in boxing has as many punches as anywhere in boxing. That's a fact. And that would make that makes sense because naturally I like punchers, which is why I've always liked Japanese boxing. It was the punchers in Japan that drew me to watch and follow and start covering Japanese boxing. Shinsuke Yamanaka, Naoya Inoue. These are the two fighters that really were the catalyst to me really starting to cover Japanese boxing. So I would say that. Inoue versus Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez. Ooh, it's a great fight potentially. Chop Chop has a lot of work to do, but he's a good prospect so far. Robert Garcia is doing a good job with him. So shout out to my guy, and make sure everyone in the chat show their appreciation to 140 pound up and comer and one of my best friends in the world, Eric Lanzis Jr. Easy got hands. He says, who wins the 2025 Stanley Cup? Come on, man. You know who's winning the Stanley Cup. It's that team with Barkov. It's that team with Sam Reinhart. It's the greatest show on ice since Disney on Ice. It's the pride of Broward County and all of South Florida. The Florida Panthers. We're going back to back, but we have a lot of work to do before we go back to back. Good to see you, Eric. Hope all is well, and looking forward to hearing about how camp with Angelo and you goes. Jazz says, I want to see Inoue versus Leo at 120. Me too, man. Me too. They both got to keep winning, looking impressive, but for sure, it's the fight. It's the number one fight I want to see in all boxing. Any weight class. That's not true. Zhao Schming couldn't punch or Rhea Abbey. Zhao Schming is Chinese, Hyro, and Rhea Abbey. Like, I'm not saying every fighter in Japan can punch, but I'm going to say if you take 10 fighters in Japan, just 10 random fighters in Japan, in any weight class, I'm going to, at the world level, 10 random fighters in Japan, I'm going to say for every 10 fighters in Japan, probably 7 of them can punch. 7 of them are above average or elite knockout punchers. Is Moxile the best guy Tank could fight? No, but at least it's a guy that can punch. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Moxile, let me see. Because it's, for those of you who don't know, let me be the first to inform you. It was reported that apparently Mark Moxile, if anything should happen to Lamar Roach, that Mark Moxile is the backup opponent for Lamar Roach, which, if he were to fight Mark Moxile, there's a very good case to be made that might be the biggest puncher he's ever fought. Because look, it's not his fault that Ryan Garcia was hungry for fame and money and was eager to jump at fighting at a catchweight, but Ryan wasn't fully Ryan, because of the other rehydration clause. So I think, yeah, Mark Moxile, if Tank were to fight Mark Moxile, that's probably the biggest puncher he's ever fought in his career. Tank versus Inoue will never happen. Bam versus Inoue is more realistic. I actually think that Bam Rodriguez versus Inoue is one of the most unrealistic fights that people keep spouting off on this channel. Bam is not going to fight Inoue because anybody who's listened to Robert Garcia talk about a Bam Inoue fight, anyone that's listened to like Bam himself talk about the Inoue fight, they know it's years away. They know it's a lot of work to do. Bam is at 115. Inoue is at 122. They're separated by 2 weight classes, mind you. And I think people either don't know or they overlook this fact. The fact is, Bam Rodriguez and Naoya Inoue both had their careers controlled one way or another by Mr. Honda of Tekken Promotions. If Mr. Honda of Tekken Promotions, I'm telling you right now, he's not going to want to match Bam and Inoue, because Bam and Inoue are 2 of his biggest money-making fighters, right? And he has this whole thing where he doesn't like doing in-house fights if he doesn't have to. He'll do it sometimes, but he doesn't like doing it if he doesn't have to. So between the weight class discrepancy and between the Mr. Honda influence, I'm telling you right now, that is one of the most unrealistic fights to get made. And that's not being discouraging. I'm not trying to like rain on nobody's parade, but Inoue versus Tank is actually more realistic than Inoue versus Bam. Take it to the bank. What do I think of Canelo versus Crawford? I mean, it's not a fight that I care for. I'm a boxing purist, so I don't give a damn about that fight. I think that fight's a big event, and it's gonna do a great pay-per-view number, and I'm sure it'll be a good. It'll do good for boxing commercially, but I don't care about it because I feel like Crawford and Canelo should both be fighting guys closer to their weight classes. I like Crawford more. I'm a bigger Crawford fan than I am a Canelo fan, but I personally just think that Terrence Crawford will have some success boxing early on, and then in the middle to later rounds, his legs are going to look like a 37-year-old's legs who have put on 14 pounds without doing it the right way, and he'll probably get stopped. Straight up. That's how I feel about it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Terrence Crawford is just that damn good, and he'll go ahead and he'll beat the brakes off of Canelo. But I personally just think that Canelo will beat him. And you guys know I'm not no Canelo fanboy like that. Listen, this is the channel that trolled Canelo more than anybody in the past. So I'm not saying this because I'm a Canelo fanboy. I just wish Crawford was fighting guys like, Bakram, which I know is not as big of a money fight, so I understand why he's not fighting Bakram. But I'd rather see him fight Bakram. I'd rather see Boots move to 154 and him fight Boots, I'd rather see Canelo fight Benavidez, even though he's at light heavyweight now, Those are the fights I'm more interested in. Just being honest. Canelo has an iron, Bivol never hurt. Listen, Canelo Alvarez has flaws. Canelo Alvarez has weaknesses. Canelo Alvarez has things that you could exploit and expose. But one thing Canelo Alvarez has never had a problem in, he's never been lacking a chin. He's never been lacking durability. He's never lacked the ability to take a punch and keep going forward. So, and to me, that would in a Crawford Canelo fight that would work against Crawford, because you got to remember, one of the things that makes Terrence Crawford the fighter he is his ability to finish opponents. And in order to finish an opponent, you got to be able to hurt your opponent, right? So, I don't think he would be able to hurt Canelo, which I think would make him be in a lot of trouble. I don't think that he would tire Canelo out either, because Crawford is a counterpuncher. Canelo is a counterpuncher. When you take two counterpunchers and you match them up, you generally tend to get not a whole lot of action. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys this might be a hard pill to swallow for people that want to see that fight, but Canelo versus Crawford might be a very, very boring fight. It might not even be an exciting fight, because you're going to have two counterpunchers waiting each other out. So it may take some time for both guys to wait each other out, because I don't care how much you think Crawford's going to move around the ring. At some point, he's going to have to dig in and counter, right? So, to be honest, the style matchup doesn't have me thrilled. Crawford really been pissing me. He's been pissing me off ever since the Spence fight, because he don't want to fight nobody. He wanted this fight, and like Canelo, he's been fighting people that have been very overmatched. I'm not really too thrilled about the fight from either side, if I'm being honest. But I understand it. Like, I'm not selfish. I'm not dumb. I like to think I'm relatively smart when it comes to self-awareness, and I understand why it's a big fight. I understand commercially it'll be a big success, but I don't care for it, and I can see a scenario where I think it winds up being a boring fight, where you get two counter punchers that are not throwing a lot of punches. And and I also think too, like, because it's two counter punchers, I don't think Canelo Alvarez is going to I don't think Canelo's going to be on the front foot as much as people think. Like, people think Canelo's just going to march to Crawford and be on the front foot. But what if he's not on the front foot? What if Canelo Alvarez is just in a high guard and he's waiting on Crawford and Crawford's waiting on him? Then what's going to happen is the pace isn't going to get pushed as much, and then and then Crawford is going to not be able to tire Canelo out, and then Canelo's going to have energy in the middle of the later rounds, and he's going to hurt and stop Crawford in the middle of the later rounds. That's probably how it's going to go, honestly. I mean, you know what? I take my word for it. Go back and watch the Madrimov fight. Madrimov is not as strong or as durable as Crawford, and Crawford had to out hustle Madrimov to win. He didn't win in the normal Crawford way, and that was against Madrimov, who's smaller and not as strong as Canelo. So I'm just telling you. It's not gonna be no. I don't even think it'll be a fun fight. I don't care who wins. If Crawford wins, that's great. I actually think it's gonna be. I've been thinking about it a lot from a style standpoint. Like I haven't been thinking about that fight from an emotional standpoint and who I like and who I don't like, and because most people that get excited about that fight, they either really love Canelo and they hate Crawford, or they really hate Crawford and love Canelo. And I've gotten to a point. I've grown into a point as a boxing fan, as a man, as just being mature. I don't really hate Canelo like I used to. I don't love Crawford like I used to. I'm a boxing fan, so I just think that it's probably gonna be a boring fight. It's gonna be two counter punchers winning each other out, and yeah. But we'll see. Canelo versus Mbili would be a better fight, just not the popular one. Oh my God, yes. Canelo versus Mbili is a way more popular, a way better fight. It's from a stylistic standpoint, like you can have Canelo, who's a heavy-handed master counterpuncher, who's slick, against a guy who likes to come forward, who's always pressing the action. Those styles would mesh a lot better than two counterpunchers, you know? Project's Jab says, you make a lot of sense about both being counterpunchers, but will Canelo need to be the counterpuncher if he doesn't respect Crawford's power? It's a great point. He won't have to be. That's another thing. He won't have to be the counterpuncher if he don't respect. If Crawford can't hurt him, then Canelo could be the aggressor, and Crawford could probably sharpshoot him and land as many punches as he wanted. But if Canelo don't feel those punches and they're not doing anything to him, then Crawford's gonna be in trouble. You know, you see what I'm saying? So, but I personally think Canelo Alvarez likes to fight in spurts. I think Crawford is gonna be moving around a lot, circling in the ring, and you're gonna have two fighters who are going to be looking to counterpunch. That's what I think is going to happen in that fight. Maybe after the 6th round, adjustments will be made from somebody and things will change. But I think, relatively speaking, you're going to get two guys who are very good counterpunchers, waiting each other out. And those are not like, just go look at if you guys go look at some of the boringest fights in box history. Look at like Robert Easter Jr. versus Ransom Bartholomew. Look at Chris Bird, Deval Williamson. Look at De Los Santos versus Shakur. You generally get really boring fights when you get two counterpunchers. Boxing Magic Mexicide says Canelo is way too seasoned versus top elite level fighters. Crawford lacks elite level fights. I halfway agree on that. Like I think there's no debate. Canelo has fought better fighters. Like let's be real. Let's be honest, guys. If Canelo does fight Crawford, would Crawford even be the second best fighter Canelo's ever fought? Because he's not better than, we know Canelo's not Crawford is not better than Floyd. And if you think he's better than Floyd, then don't even talk to me about boxing, because you clearly don't understand boxing if you think that. He's not better than Floyd. And then I think it's very debatable if he's better than Bivol or Golovkin. You can say that maybe he's more accomplished than those guys because he's been undisputed and he's been lineal champion more times, so that would be your point. But I don't know if you could say he's actually, from a skill standpoint, from a stylistic standpoint, better or more difficult for Canelo Alvarez than those guys. You know, that's what I think. But shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, Brendan Taylor, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, live from Japan. You know, already an hour in. Time flies by when you're having fun. So get your comments in, get your questions in, smash the like button, super chat. We're just having fun talking boxing. So if you got anything you want to talk about in the comments down below, leave it down below, and I will do my best to answer and give you the most insightful response I can on the spot. You know, and do me a favor, guys. Let me know, like, where are you watching from? Where are you guys watching from? And I want to see how international we are on the broadcast. So feel free to let me know where you guys are at. David Escher says, if Madrimov beats Virgil, then I'm convinced he might be a top 3 guy at 154. Yeah, for sure. I think the Madrimov fight is I think the Virgil fight for Madrimov is very, very important because I think with Majimov, we're getting a lot of people on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of how he's perceived. Because I've heard some people say he's the best 154 pounder outside of Crawford. I sure as hell don't believe that because I think Majimov had a great case to win the Crawford fight. And I think like Majimov's just been very up and down in his career because he had the fights against Michael Soro where he didn't really show that he was better than Michael. Like he didn't show this big gap in class against Michael Soro. He beat Magomed Kurbanov, who was a pretty weak opponent, to win the belt. And he had a good performance against Crawford, but Crawford was a naturally smaller guy coming up in weight who out-hustled him. So I just think Majimov, for me, Majimov is a good fighter. Majimov is definitely one of the top 5 154 pounders, but I don't class him as highly as everyone else, and I don't rate that Majimov win for Crawford as highly as everyone else does. I think Majimov is overrated. So for me, and to be fair, I thought Virgil lost to Boachuk, so I think even you could say Virgil might be a tad bit overrated right now. So they're both kind of overrated by a little bit right now, but I think Virgil Ortiz is the better fighter. I think Virgil has the better jab. I think Virgil's the better boxer. Virgil's the better finisher. Virgil's better in a couple of departments than Majimov now. Footwork, movement, maybe not. But he's very good at cutting the ring off. He's very good at power boxing. He's very good at a lot of things. So I think Virgil's going to beat Majimov. But we'll see. All right. Bye. Hey, you. Arigato. See you. See you. Bye. Bye. Hockey says, BT, please make a live beside the lake before you leave. We enjoy the scenery and the ducks that are always around you. Yeah, I will for sure. I'm going to Tokyo on Saturday, so maybe I'll have a special live for you guys on Saturday. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes on Saturday. I might have a special live for you guys on Saturday. Hyro says, would you ever want to go to a fight just to watch and not make videos about it? I've done it before. I've done that a couple times. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to go to a fight as a fan and not have to make content. I've done it a couple times without you guys knowing. Who do you think will go undisputed this year, BT? That's a great question. Who will go undisputed this year? That's tough because half of going undisputed is just getting the fights, right? So a fighter could have all the ability in the world, but if the promoters and the guys that are in charge making the fights, if they don't go ahead and make the fights happen for the fighter, then there's no way it can happen. So I'm trying to think what divisions have potential undisputed. Maybe 168. Maybe like no. I was gonna say maybe like a Benavidez, but he doesn't fight enough. So maybe light heavyweight again. If they could do like a Benavidez or the Benavidez Morel winner versus the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. I think maybe that's one. You generally don't get undisputed in the lower weight classes. And as much as I love the featherweight division, Bob Arum, it doesn't sound like Bob Arum's gonna let Angelo or Rafael Espinoza fight each other. So I don't know, man. I wish I could tell you guys featherweight. I wish I could say, you know what, Angelo Leo is going undisputed at featherweight. But I just don't think the fights are going to happen in that way for anybody, let alone Angelo, to become undisputed at featherweight. 130, there will definitely be no undisputed at 130 because at 130, the champions aren't fighting each other. And one of the champions isn't even fighting in the weight class. Lamar Roach is fighting at 135. It won't happen at 135. It won't happen at 140. It won't happen at 47. I think probably Jael Pataya and probably someone at light heavyweight. I'll say those are probably the two best I can give you. Jazz says, my friend is in Tokyo right now. What part of Tokyo? Because Tokyo is pretty damn big. It's a lot of parts of Tokyo. Who do you got if Tia versus Ryan happen? Ooh, that's a damn good fight. And you want to know why that fight's so good? You guys want to know why Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia is such an amazing fight? The reason that fight is such an amazing fight is because You got Ryan Garcia, who is like has one of them like he's one of the got some of the best quick twitch muscles in boxing. Very athletic guy. You got Teofimo Lopez, who you can also say the same thing about. So you got two of the most like I don't know how to say it, but like two of the best fighters in terms of quick twitch muscles and reflexes, and they're explosive punchers fighting each other. I think they're both really good. I would lean slightly towards Ryan Garcia. Who do you want Tank's last fight in boxing to be? Well, I don't really think he's retiring. To be honest with you, I think he is trying to negotiate and get a better deal for himself. But if it is true, I would like to see Gervonta Davis fight Keyshawn Davis. I love that fight. I think it's a better fight than him and Shakur, because him and Shakur is like the bull versus the matador. You're gonna have Shakur circling, occasionally trying to counterpunch. Maybe if he doesn't get scared by the power, and it's a good fight because you want to like the whole intrigue of that fight is can Shakur Stevenson box a perfect disciplined fight and not get knocked out by Tank. But Keyshawn Davis versus Tank, that's like you got firepower on this side and you got firepower on this side. Like that's like one of them Hagler Hearns type of fights. That's like one of them like real aggressive chess matches. So I like that fight. If I had it my way, if I was the commissioner of boxing, if boxing was a league and BT was the commissioner, I would make Keyshawn Davis versus Tank. I think it's a better fight. Who do I favor if Inoue and Nakatani meet? I favor Inoue just because Inoue has shown such dominance in his career. But I've been very adamant. Anybody who's listened to me has heard me say that as of right now, from 122 to featherweight, the two fighters I think have the best chance to beat Inoue that are actually in a position to fight him are Junta Nakatani and Angelo Leo. Everyone else, and maybe I give Brandon Figueroa an outside chance just because of the size and the work rate, but the two guys for me, based on styles, based on what Inoue doesn't do well, that have a great chance to beat him are Nakatani and Angelo. Because with Nakatani, with Inoue, right? Inoue's biggest problem as a fighter, man, he's a great fighter. Like, he don't have a whole lot of problems. Like, he's one of the best fighters in the world, and he's an all-time great. So he don't got a ton of problems, but he's got flaws. And one of his biggest flaws is that he does not get the head out the center line. Inoue fights in a fashion where it's like, okay, he's like, look, yeah, my head's right here on the center line, but I got these bricks in my hand. So, yeah, you might be able to land a couple punches, a punch or two. You may be able to dish it out. I can take it, but can you take what I'm dishing out? And Inoue really trusts his power, and he fights in a really structured, aggressive fashion, and he really relies on not so much his power. It's not just his power. It's also his explosiveness. Because when you fight a fighter like Inoue, the hardest thing about fighting a fighter like Inoue, it's not the power. It's that explosive first step. And to beat Inoue, or even have a chance to beat Inoue, you need to know, and you need to figure it out very quickly. How are you going to negate that first step? When he makes that first step to commit to his offense and he closes that space real fast, do you have an answer to neutralize that? And most fighters don't. Most fighters don't have the IQ nor the composure to do that, because by the time he closes the gap and that first step is made to commit to his offense, you're already getting hit with a bunch of bricks, and you can't. So I think Junto would have a great chance to neutralize that first step because of his range and his size, and the fact that he has power out of that southpaw stance. And I think he could get Inoue to commit and walk into some counters. I think Angelo would have a chance against Inoue because you can negate the Inoue first step if you know how to fight in angles. If you can angle off, if you're a crafty body puncher, it's gonna limit those explosive first steps from happening more often. So I think those are those are reasons why I think Angelo can negate that and make him a more beatable fighter. But even if you do that, he's still a hard fighter to beat because of the punching power he has and the fact that he's not gonna stop. So you have to be elite condition wise. You gotta be elite in terms of your IQ. You gotta have elite composure, and those are really the only two guys at the championship level that I see that have the attributes to possibly do those things. That's why I talk so highly about Nakatani and Angelo as being the two best guys to have a chance to beat him, because they have things in their skill set that can neutralize the first step of Inoue. Doesn't mean they will, because he's one of the best fighters in the world, but they have things that lead me to believe they can. And that's why those fights are very intriguing to me. What do you think of Tank of Tio versus Super Tio? Is Tio scared? I don't think Tio's scared. His track record shows you he's not scared. I think it's a business thing. You know. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I was told that apparently on the Boxing Voice, Tio stated that the main reason why he doesn't want to fight Super Matias is because if he fights Super Matias, there's some sort of clause in the contract for Top Rank where, you know, if he fights him right now, the contract automatically renews, and he feels like he's not getting the value that he wants out of Top Rank, and he wants to part ways. So he feels that if he fights Super Matias, if the contract extends regardless, you know, he feels it's counterproductive to stay under the Top Rank banner. So that's actually the greater issue in all this. I actually think Super Matias is a great matchup for Tio in terms of like a matchup that favors him. I think he could beat Super Matias. It's tough. It's a very, very tough fight, but I think he could beat him. Guys, give me 1 second. I have to go get a bottle of water because my throat's a little dry. But leave your comments down below. I'll be back. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Where's that water at? Find some time to do something. Find some time. All right, there you go. Big old bottle of water. Look, people keep asking me like, BT, what's so great about Japan? Look, this big ass. Look at this big old water bottle, like 79 yen, which like in American dollars, I'm not sure. That's like 20 cents or some shit like that. Like big. 79 yen. Anyway, shout out to Amir Mason. Is that the Amir Mason? Is that one of the Mason 5? Everyone show their respect. If that is Amir Mason, everyone show their respects to Amir Mason, one of the warriors of our sport. You know, he is one of the Mason brothers. He is, you know, Abdullah Mason's brother. He's also a fighter himself, you know, doing his thing, and a good friend of mine. I love Amir Mason. And I love the Mason family. They're great people, you know? What do I think of... Okay, I already answered that. Do I think Tank will ever leave to 140? For the right fights, I think he would. I think for the right fights. You know, I'm going to do a video about this later on because I've been re-examining even like some of my own opinions about Tank Davis, right? Because one thing I've noticed about Gervonta Davis in videos that I made about him over the last couple of years is that whenever I speak positively about Tank, like for example, if I say Gervonta Davis is one of the smartest fighters in boxing, which is actually something I really believe. Like I really believe Gervonta Davis is one of the smartest fighters in boxing, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves for his IQ. He's very good at adjusting and figuring out the pattern of a fighter quickly, right? I know people get mad and get hostile when I talk positive about Tank. So people say Gervonta Davis is a fraud. Oh, he's not that good, or he hasn't fought anybody, and he's a 30-year-old prospect, which there may be some truth to it. But, like, is he really a quote-unquote fraud, or is it just popular to hate him? Because I really think, first of all, I don't think he's anything close to a fraud. I think he's a pound-for-pound talent, and I just think it's popular to hate on Tank. And in boxing and in the world in general, we have a world where it's not cool to think for yourself. It's not cool to have an opinion. People want to be liked and have the same opinions as other people. And for me, I don't give a damn about that. Tank has, you know, there's things about his career I don't like, but I'm not going to sit here because this prescription still works. This prescription still works. He is a top-tier, upper echelon, creme de la creme fighter. Now, they say it's easy to be smart against lower opposition, but riddle me this one, right? So Gervonta Davis fights Frank Martin. Gervonta Davis fights Isaac Cruz, right? I'll just use those two fighters, right? Those two fighters in particular. I've heard Shakur Stevenson's name be linked to Frank Martin, and when people said when Shakur Stevenson was going to fight Frank Martin, people were saying it was a good fight. it's a credible fight. When Shakur wanted to fight Isaac Cruz, it's a good fight. It's a credible fight. When Devin Haney wanted to fight Isaac Cruz or some of the guys on Tank's resume, they were good fights and they were credible fights. But because Gervonta Davis fought those guys, and Gervonta Davis in some cases knocked some of those guys out, now they aren't good fights. So my thing is, I think Tank Davis has been moved a certain way, and there's no refuting that. But he has fought some good fighters too. So I just think people need to be just a little fair, because the way they talk about Gervonta Davis, you would think that Devin Haney and you would think that Shakur Stevenson are fighting this murderous row of fighters. And if we're being extra honest, I like Shakur Stevenson too. But if we're being extra honest, you look at Devin, look at Shakur, look at Tank, look at Teo. Most of those guys have at least fought each other, have at least fought one of the other quote-unquote Big Four. The only one who hasn't fought any one of the other Big Four is Shakur Stevenson. But it's Tank getting all the criticism. And I don't think that's fair. I think the reason why Tank gets the most criticism is because Tank is the most popular, right? He's the most popular, and I hate to bring this up because I'm not the kind of guy that talks like this about boxing. I really don't care about this, but it's the truth. He's the one that's the most popular. He's the one that makes the most money, and he's the one that was with Floyd. So, I just think you could have your criticism. You could say Tank Davis should have fought someone better by now. But then when Shakur and Devin and these other guys, when they get linked to some of the same guys Tank already fought, it can't be. You can't say Frank Martin is a good fight for Shakur and Frank Martin is a good fight for Devin and Pitbull Cruz is a good fight for those guys, but they weren't good fights for Tank. And so what I really think that people are saying on a subconscious level when they say Tank hasn't fought anybody, you're saying he's better than you're saying Tank is better than Shakur. You're saying Tank is better than Devin and Ryan and all these guys. They may not think they're saying that, but they are saying that by saying that he hasn't fought anyone, because you're downplaying fighters that have been linked to fight those other fighters that were good fighters, that were good opponents for those other fighters, but not good opponents for Tank. So yeah, man, I got a video coming on that real soon, a more like measured video on that, because I don't think I definitely don't think Gervonta Davis is a fraud. I just think it's popular to hate Tank. And I agree, I didn't compete as amateur, but I've sparred plenty of fighters, so I know just from sparring, when you spar someone who knows what they're doing, it's obviously a lot harder to be quote unquote smart than if you were sparring someone that's not on your level. When you spar someone who isn't as experienced as you know how to take rest, you know how to push the pace, you know how to do certain things in there. So I get it, but I'm just saying I think people aren't being fair to Tank. And I think with Turki Al-Ashik's arrival in boxing and Tank being kind of just saying what he feels, and I agree with him. I mean, I'm making no secret. I agree with damn near everything he said about Turki. I think that makes it more popular to hate Tank, because people are like, Turki is giving us the fights we want, yay! And then they think Tank is just being a hater and all these kind of things. And maybe to some degree that's true, but there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. David Esther says, man, hopefully we can get Boots and Stanionis, then Tank gets the... Maybe, man. I would like to see Tank against Teo. I think that'd be a fun fight. Yeah. I want to, honestly, like, I wasn't always a big Tank fan. I used to be a lot like a lot of you guys. I used to be a hater of Tank. And then, time is the best revealer of all. You go... You watch him train. You watch him fight in person. You see how he is in person. You hear things. I hear things from people in boxing that I've been in the gym with them, been in the ring with them, spar with them. Okay, and then you kind of see how everyone else is moving, and I feel like Tank, like boxing and boxing fans have turned me. I think I'm starting to turn into a Gervonta Davis like super fan, honestly, because the dude can fight his ass off. He can. The leverage that he gets on his punches, the explosiveness he has on his punches, the fact that he's a versatile knockout puncher, not just a knockout puncher, but the fact that he can knock you out with either hand, in any punch, that makes him dangerous. And not everyone can be like that. Not everyone can fight like that. Not everyone has those attributes. And people just want to disregard that and hate on him because what? Because for whatever the case may be, they feel he's cherry picking. They feel he's like Floyd, whatever the case may be. By the way, when people say he's like Floyd, like it's some sort of bad thing, Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Again, I was young. I was once young and dumb and ignorant, and I wanted to be a hater and feel like I was trying to, disregard what my eyes could see so clearly. But Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest fighters that ever lived, and people need to stop with their bullshit about, oh, Floyd Mayweather ruined boxing, and all these fighters want to be like Floyd and have a career like Floyd, and we need to stop everybody from having a career like Floyd. First and foremost, none of these fighters, not Terrence, not Canelo, not nobody, none of these fighters could ever have a career like Floyd, because the stone cold truth that people don't want to accept is that they just weren't as good as Floyd. That's a fact. They're not as good as Floyd. Floyd had everything. Floyd was the complete package. Everything. Counterpuncher. He could fight on the inside. He could counterpunch. He was tough. When fighters like Shane Mosley asked the tough questions of him and hit him square on his chin, he had the answers to survive and make the adjustment and win. He had charisma. He could sell a fight. He was everything that you'd want in boxing. But it's not popular to say that. It's more popular to say things like and downplay a man's achievements and say, oh yeah, well, he didn't fight no one in their prime. But last time I checked, he fought Shane Mosley right after Mosley fought Margarito, and Mosley beat the living shit out of Margarito. But anyway, I digress. I went on a bit of a tangent there. Shout out to everybody who's here and still rock with me. Make sure you smash that like button and definitely chime in. Definitely super subscribe if you're new. Definitely super chat. We just here having some good boxing talk. I haven't gone live for now. What has it been, like well over 2 weeks? So I had to come on here and get into a nice little rhythm, because I'm going live again tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going live again. I'm gonna have Pops on live tomorrow. And Pops. Listen, man, y'all been asking for Pops. Pops got a whole lot to say about boxing, so tune in tomorrow. It'll be around this time tomorrow as well. Let me see. We're at 82 minutes now, so what? That's like what? So we're going to make it an even 2 hours today. We're going to make it an even 2 hours. So I still got 38 minutes left. So for 38 minutes, y'all comment whatever you want. You guys chime in whatever you want. I'll let y'all steer the conversation. But tomorrow we're gonna have Pops on, and it's gonna be a more structured live. But right now I'm just chilling. I'm drinking this big old bottle of water. I'm here in Japan, living life, enjoying myself. So yeah. I missed a super chat. Shout out to Ira with the super chat. He says you should spend the night with a Latina at the MGM. Yeah, why not? Sounds all right. Sounds like a great time. Why not? Why not? Luis Augusto says, "Where am I? I'm in the land of the rising sun. That's where I'm at." My man right here asked me, "What do I think about Holyfield versus Usyk?" That's a great fight, man. That's a hell of a fight. At cruiserweight, that's a great fight. I would say in that fight, I think it'd be very close. I think Holyfield's hand speed and his power and his durability would give Usyk a lot of problems. But Usyk is a winner. Like, he's a winner. Usyk knows how to win close rounds. A lot of these fights he had in the past have been close, but when the going gets tough, Usyk gets going. And he wins. He just knows how to win. So I would say Usyk finds a way late to outbox Holyfield in a close fight. In a hypothetical fight, if I got to pick someone. But they're both great fighters. I'm a huge fan of both. Obviously, anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows how much I love Holyfield, because Holyfield and Riddick both were a big part of this channel. Interviewing those guys for years back in the day. I feel like I got my education in how to cover fighters interviewing Holyfield and Bo. So definitely, I definitely got a lot of love for those guys. Al the Pal, what's good, champ? He says, what it do? Man, I'm just chilling. Chilling like a villain here in Japan. Enjoying my last 2 weeks before I had to go back to the States. And, just happy, grateful, and blessed to be alive. Do you think anyone could beat Prime Floyd? Of course. I think there was fighters that could have beat Floyd. I mean, it would have been hard, because Floyd is a great fighter, like one of the best ever. But, Obviously, like the guys like Sugar Ray. I think a guy like, to be honest, I think someone like Tommy Hearns would have given him some problems because I don't think Floyd would be able to just sit there and counterpunch Tommy Hearns. I feel like in that fight, Floyd would have to press the action a lot more, and it might force him to get hurt. But we'll never know. There's no way you can take prime Floyd and prime Tommy Hearns and these kind of guys and have them fight each other. But I think there's some guys that could have beat him stylistically. My main man, Lyndon Jones, yes, boxing therapy. Listen. I get excited every time I see boxing therapy in the comments because my man Lyndon Jones, boxing therapy. He's been here for a while. I mean, I remember seeing him in my chat years ago. I remember talking to him on Facebook years ago. So I hope you're well, brother. God bless to you and your family. And he says, I see you've been out there for a good while. Keep up the good work. Yeah, man, I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. And definitely trying to get the most I can out of my last 2 weeks here. Just to answer your question, Falling Star, I got roughly two weeks, 2 weeks some change. Yeah, 2 weeks some change, and I'll be back in the States. And then I'm not coming back to Japan until probably like the middle of 2026. So it'll be about another 18 months before I'm back here. So definitely enjoying every moment, trying to get the most out of it, trying to definitely get everything right for the next time I come back, for sure. Because Japan has become a part of my soul. It's become a part of my being as a person. When you spend this much time in a place and you've seen as much as I've seen, it becomes a part of you. So, for sure. Hyrule Galvez asked the question, do you think Ian Green could beat Arizona Lara? 1,000% he could beat Arizona Lara. But it doesn't look like he's gonna get a chance to because it looks like I think what's happening is I'm gonna tell you what I think is happening with the WBA middleweight title picture, Hyrule. So hold on. So there's a middleweight, 6-0 middleweight with 6 knockouts. Yoenis Hernandez, big prospect, power punching Cuban. They're fast tracking the hell out of him. He's been a Canelo sparring partner. He sparred Jaron Ennis. He sparred a lot of top guys, and I believe he had a big amateur background like most of these Cubans have. And I think what's going to wind up happening is because this Yoenis Hernandez, he's fighting on the he's fighting on the Benavidez Morel undercard. So what I think is going to wind up happening is I think he's going to wind up becoming the WBA mandatory challenger. And then I think PBC is going to make Yoenis Hernandez fight Lara. I think Hernandez is going to beat Lara. And that's going to be them passing the torch to the next Cuban champion. That's what I think. That's what I think is getting ready to happen here. As far as Ian Green, I can't speak on what's going on with him because I don't want to get in trouble. But he's got some work to do outside the ring, and I'll leave it at that. But that's my guy. That's my guy, Ian Green, and any way I can help him elevate his career, I'm going to do it. So I hope, good things happen for Ian Green this year because I think he's one of the best middleweights out there, and more people should know who he is. Salvador Sanchez and Floyd Mayweather, that's a realistic one given they were the same size. I think Salvador would have had the tools to beat Floyd because but I don't know though, cause look, I like Salvador. That's one of my favorite fighters ever. But Salvador had fights where he just got out like when he fought Pat Ford. That was a fight where he made some adjustments and made it close down the stretch, and it probably could have been a draw. He got the win, and a lot of people thought it was a good decision. And then you got guys like Paul Malignaggi saying that fight exposed him, and that shows that he wasn't. He tried to say Salvador was overrated, which I think is ridiculous, but. I think even with a guy like Salvador, I think Floyd might have even figured out a guy like if they're the same size, Floyd might have even figured him out too. And I like Salvador. That's my favorite Mexican fighter ever. But what do you guys? I'll ask you guys this because I haven't made a video about it yet, and I really don't want to make a video about it just because. I don't really like Gervonta Davis fanboys, and I don't like Terrence Crawford fanboys, and so I don't want to get them engaged in my comment section, but I'll ask it here since we're already an hour and some change in. What do you guys make of the whole Terrence Crawford, Gervonta Davis back and forth? Tank is what Tank has pretty much said about Crawford is that, look, like you got to sell out to Turkey. You got to play nice with Turkey to make a little bit of good money in your career. I don't have to do that. I make money because I'm entertaining. I have market value. I sell tickets. People want to see me fight in my home country. And, Tank has made some pretty direct and disparaging remarks about Terrence Crawford's family and his wife and her weight and all these kind of things. So what do you guys make of all this? I'll be honest. I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you guys. I feel like, and it's gonna sound crazy, but I honestly feel like Gervonta Davis versus Terrence Crawford is a more competitive fight than Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. I don't think Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is going to be a competitive fight. I think Canelo's going to beat the shit out of Terrence if they fight. Because Terrence is 37 and he's not moving up the weights properly. So that's why I think he's going to lose speed. His legs aren't going to be there, and he's going to get stopped in the middle of the later rounds, right? But Tank versus Terrence, I think it'd be interesting because one thing about Tank is his power, I think, could carry up to 47. And Terrence Crawford has been hurt by guys that do not punch as hard as Tank. You can't sit here and tell me that Gamboa or Spence or Mean Machine or any of these guys that Terrence Crawford has fought. I don't think Terrence Crawford has ever fought a puncher like Tank. And so, shit, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Terrence Crawford likes to be on the front foot in attack, so he's going to give Tank opportunities to counter. Tank is a master counter puncher. Shit. To me, I feel like that's the more entertaining fight, and I think it would sell more. I think that fight would sell more pay-per-views because the build-up would be crazier. They would be talking more trash. Yeah, I like that fight. Everyone thinks it's crazy. They say, "Oh, BT, you just a hater. How could you say that?" Terrence is undisputed this and undisputed that and lineal. That's cool. That's cool. I love Terrence. Terrence is one of my favorite fighters ever, but. The truth is the truth. He has never been hit by a puncher like Tank. What Tank said is true aside from the personal stuff. Yeah. Aside from the family stuff, I don't condone that. I think he's wrong for that. He's out of pocket with that one. But, as far as the turkey stuff, he's right. David S. says, I don't really like Gervonta Davis as a person if I'm keeping it a buck, even though I defend Tank and his career. Yeah, I mean, look. I've dealt with Tank I don't proclaim to know him. I mean, I have a friend right now, a fighter right now, a friend of mine who's in training camp with him right now as we speak. I hear what he's like behind closed doors, and I know plenty of people who have sparred him, so I hear about what he's like with people who have sparred him, and I met him at media events and things like that. I like Tank. I think. Covering him closely, I've grown to like him. I think there's a certain level of authenticity that he brings into the ring and even outside the ring that I can respect. Doesn't always say the politically correct things, but look, this is boxing. This is the sport of boxing. This ain't soccer. This ain't tennis. This ain't hockey. I like hockey. These are not sports where you're supposed. This is not a sport where you're supposed to be PC. So, fuck it. I like Tank. What I think about Conor Ben and Eubank, it's cool. I don't really care for it like that. I think from a boxing standpoint, it's a pointless fight, but from an event standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world because of who their dads are. So I'll watch it. Hopefully it's exciting. Hopefully Conor Ben will get blasted out in 6 rounds or less. TSM Harden says, what are my thoughts on Roberto Duran? I mean, what is there to think about? I mean, he's a great fighter. He's one of the best of all time. He's one of the all-time greats. Turned pro at 135. Went up as high as what, like light heavyweight. The first guy to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. Went the distance with the great Marvin Hagler. I mean, he is really and truthfully one of the greats. Could have competed in any era. Yeah, we here. Let me see what else is going on. What else is going on in our great sport right now? Let me see if there's anything new, because you know boxing. Boxing just it's always like that. There's always something new, always something coming up. Let me see if we got any new news in boxing. By the way, a couple of decent fights are on this weekend, or at least one card I think everyone should definitely tune into, because there's some really good fights on the card. Is on January 17th. So I'm in Japan right now. I'm not sure what time it is in the States or what day it is in the States. But January 17th on UFC Fight Pass, Omar Trinidad and Mike Plania. Good fight, featherweight division. Omar Trinidad is knocking on the door of a world title shot. Could be an Angelo Leo opponent. He's right there in the IBF. So, and he's fighting a common opponent. So looking forward to that. And then you got some good prospects in the card. I'll probably check that out. And then we have the card here in Japan that I'm going to on Saturday. So not a big week as far as big time boxing, but there's still some boxing going on if you look for it. Falling Star said Turkey should invest money into the Undisputed video game. He's already done that. Turkey's already went ahead he's already went ahead and invested plenty of money into the Undisputed video game. I don't think that's been a problem as far as things he's been investing in. Because he pumped a bunch of money into that. That's why Riyadh season and a bunch of Saudi things are in the game now because Turkey decided to invest more money into the game. But yeah, let me see. I wanted to see what was going on in boxing because that was. Let me see what's going on. WBO wants answers from Sam Goodman regarding his injury. Yes, so do we. So does the rest of the world because he's been ridiculous. Inoue Yi Jun Kim broadcast will feature Jin Sasaki. Yeah, just so you guys know, because on this channel, Jin Sasaki has been a popular conversation. We made a lot of waves in America with the Jin Sasaki interview where he was calling out Boots and saying he was gonna knock him out. Jin Sasaki will be the co-main event of the Inoue card. So if y'all keep hearing all this fuss and all this hooting and hollering about this Jin Sasaki, you've never seen him fight, tune into the Inoue card on the 24th. He'll be the co-main event. And I expect him to do a demolition job on his opponent and, let the world know that, hey, Japan isn't just dominating in the lower weight classes, in the lower weight categories, but they're also going to be a factor in the higher weight categories. So look out for him. You know what's crazy, guys? I can talk boxing time blue in the face. I was doing some research. I've been doing a lot of research about prospects here in Japan, upcoming fighters here in Japan. There is this one fighter. I like him a lot. I want you guys to know who he is. And I guarantee you have not heard any channel bring this name up. But there's a fighter here in Japan who's a welterweight. So he's not a guy that you would say is in a booger weight class or a lesser or lighter weight category. He's in the welterweight division, a glamour division in America. Right? Sora Tanaka. Remember that name. Sora Tanaka. He's currently 2-0 with 2 knockouts. He's a short, stocky welterweight. They call him the Mike Tyson of Yokohama. This guy, oh my God. He is going to be the most, I don't know if he'll be the best. I'm not even sure if he'll become a top 15 ranked contender. I hope he does. I think he will, because he's shown me enough skill and craft early in his career already. I see enough positives where he could be a factor at welterweight. But I'm telling you guys, this Sora Tanaka guy, this dude is gonna be the most exciting fighter in the welterweight division. Even more than Jin Sasaki's exciting, but not like this guy. This guy has serious thump, serious punching power, and he's real stocky. So if they're calling him the Mike Tyson of Yokohama, imagine a lot of left hooks, a lot of uppercuts, a lot of left uppercuts, a lot of right uppercuts, a lot of torso movement. I just found out who he was maybe 2 weeks ago, and I just started watching him yesterday because there's nothing. Go check him out, man. He's got some serious power, serious power. What are my thoughts on Oscar Duarte versus Regis Prograis? I think it's a good fight. I think Duarte. Duarte was supposed to fight Kenneth Sims Jr. I'm kind of upset. I want to know why he's not fighting Kenneth Sims Jr. because I know Kenneth Sims Jr. and Duarte were supposed to fight towards the end of 2024. I think Kenneth Sims Jr. would have beat Duarte, and I don't like. I mean, maybe he's injured or something. I don't know, but I don't understand why they didn't just make Duarte versus Kenneth Sims like they were like they did the first time. That being said. Prograis, Prograis passed it. We know that. He knows. He said it himself. His legs aren't what they used to be, but the good thing for him is he won't need his legs in this fight because Duarte is not gonna be moving around the ring like Devin Haney or Jack Catterall. He's not that kind of fighter. He's gonna go look for the fight. So I think this is a fight where Prograis could pick up one last good win in his career and knock this guy out. There will be a lot of good exchanges. It's a fan friendly fight, so I ain't mad at it. What do you think about the fight, Cruz? And what does the chat think about Oscar Duarte versus Regis Prograis? Who is fighting in Japan this weekend? And is there a way we can watch it in America? Now that last part, I'm sure there is. I'm not the best, and this is actually something that I want to improve upon when I get back to America because I'm gonna have to improve upon it to improve my Japanese boxing coverage when I'm actually in the States, not in Japan. But I'm pretty sure if you get a VPN and maybe get like the Lamino, because the card is gonna be on. It's a Tekken Promotions card, so I'm not sure what outlet it'll be on here in Japan, but I'm sure if you get a VPN, you could probably figure it out. I'll be honest with you, I don't know, but the card in Japan that I'm going to, it's gonna have in fact, let me pull it up. It's gonna have two current contenders at featherweight. So I'm going there because obviously these are fighters that could either be in world title shots in the near future against big names, and or be an Angelo Leo opponent. So I want to know who are these guys that my boy Angelo might have to fight in the future, right? So the fight I'm going to, here, let me pull it up. So the reason I'm going to this fight is because I want to see two of the contenders at featherweight, and one of them is Mikita Nakano. Mikita Nakano is the IBF number 9 contender. He's currently 11-0 with 10 knockouts, so he's a big puncher. He's a Tekken Promotions fighter, and he's taking on a fighter who's 13-3-5. Yes, you heard that correctly. 13-3-5, 5 draws. Hiroki Hanabusa, who's a tough fighter, tough gatekeeper. He's upset some fighters in Japan, like guys that are in the rankings. He beat Toshiki Shimomachi, who's ranked at 122, and then he also upset Kai Watanabe, who's highly ranked at 130, right? So good fighter there from Nakano, a guy that's crafty, that's experienced. And then you got Kenji Fujita, who is number 5 in the WBO. He's right there. He might fight Bruce Carrington. He might be someone a top rank looks at because he's not a big puncher. Kenji Fujita is not a big puncher. I've watched him fight recently. I just dropped the video on him recently, so check it out if you haven't already. But Kenji Fujita he can't really punch. He slaps with his hooks a little bit, and I think Kenji Fujita is in a tough fight because he's fighting this Filipino fighter named Michael Kasama, whose record is like 10-2-1, right? Or 10-2-1, I think. 10-2-1 or 10-1-2? 10-2-1. So Kasama's 10-2-1. He's a hard punching Filipino. He's an all or nothing fighter. He either all 10 of his wins have been by knockout, and all 2 of his losses he's been knocked out. So he either knocks you out or gets knocked out. And he upset a Tekken Promotions fighter who was like 5-0, whose name I can't remember right now. And that's how he got this fight. So I think Fujita, who's not a puncher, is gonna have to navigate a puncher, right? And then Nakano has to navigate a guy who's real crafty and experienced in Hiroki Hanabusa. So I want to see how these guys do because these opponents are fighting. They're not like the best fighters in the world. They're not like world beaters, but they're competent enough to where if Nakano or Fujita are not on their game, they will lose, and their world title aspirations for the time being will be dashed. So I want to see if any one of these guys is good enough to win these fights and continue the gravy train rolling for them to potentially get a title shot. Because Nakano is number 9. When I made my video about Nikita Nakano back in November or December, whenever I did it, he was number 12 back then. So in a couple months, he's jumped up 3 spots. He jumped up 3 spots in only a short amount of time. So he's gonna be a factor if he wins. If he wins this fight, I mean, look, Liarato Diamani is 8, Rai Salim is 7, Venado Lopez is there at 6, but Venado Lopez is not at featherweight, so don't even look at him. He's probably gonna jump up into like the 6 or 7 spot if he wins this fight. So Yeah, if there's one weight class, as many of you guys know, that I've been paying attention to and really been enjoying, it's the featherweight division. And funny enough, I was doing some research last night for some videos, and I've always said that the featherweight division right now in boxing is the most culturally diverse weight class in boxing, but I didn't realize how many different countries of fighters are represented in the weight class, because at featherweight between all the rankings, so between all the champions and the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF rankings, you have a total of 15 countries that are represented, and I couldn't believe it. You have countries like, come on, I got it right here in front of me, because I tweeted it yesterday. Where is it? So like you have literally at featherweight, you have fighters from. Hold on, my phone. You have fighters from the USA, Mexico, UK, South Korea, Ukraine, Namibia, South Africa, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Uzbekistan, Argentina, Cuba, Spain, Uganda, and the Dominican Republic. So to me, that's one of the reasons why it's the best weight class in boxing, because it has the most diversity of fighters in boxing. So you have the most styles in boxing, and it's like even the guys at featherweight, even the guys that don't got big names that nobody even knows about. If you go and you watch the fight, they can fight, you know. So Hyro says featherweight is like 115. These guys are inside fighters. Most of them are, but not all of them. You got a couple guys that can really box on the outside. Fee says, I just watched Sora Tanaka. I would like to watch him more, but so far so good. Hands are a bit too squared and flat-footed so far, but looks good. Yeah, I mean, like, he hasn't really stepped up in class yet, so he's gonna look good in these fights, knocking out this caliber of opponents. But one thing is very apparent: the sound of his punches are a little different, you know. And I think it was his second pro fight. I watched it back cause it was only like 2 rounds, so I watched it like a couple times because it was so fun to watch. Before the knockout, he did a catch and counter. He had some craft in there, you know. So I look forward to seeing when he actually has to go rounds and he hits an opponent and they don't fall. We'll see how he develops, but I'm really excited about him because you don't get Japanese welterweights every day, especially guys punching like that. So Landslide says Pro Gray is garbage, no footwork whatsoever. Well, that's not fair. You could say he's flawed. You could say he got exposed in some fights, but he's definitely not garbage. He's a 2-time world champion. He's definitely not garbage. I'm not having that. Regis Prograis is a multiple-time world champion who's beaten some good fighters. You know, gave prime Josh Taylor all he can handle. That's going too far. But I mean, I guess we're entitled to our own opinions. We see we're at 108 minutes, so we got, what is that, like, so 12 more minutes, guys. I got 12 more minutes, and then I'm gonna get up on out of here because I got other things I gotta attend to today. I gotta go knock out these prospect videos, but we live again tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Pops is gonna be live with us tomorrow, so a lot of you guys been asking about Pops. When's Pops coming back? He's gonna be here tomorrow, and he has a lot to say about boxing. So if you're fans of certain fighters, make sure you guys go ahead and don't listen, because he may hurt your feelings. Pro Gray is past his prime for sure. Yeah, he's definitely past his prime. Do you think Inoue would fight Nick Ball? Of course. I think that would probably be one of the top guys he target at featherweight. And it'd be a fun fight. Do I think Angelo Leo would ever fight in Saudi? He definitely would fight in Saudi. I wouldn't go with him because I've said too much. I've talked too crazy about Saudi, so I can't risk going over there and getting my head chopped off. But yeah, I know for a fact from speaking to him and his dad that you know, they pay well enough. They'd go over there. I believe, I'm of the belief that they'd go over there if the fight was big enough. Hyro said, "Me and Pops can do an entire 3-hour live if you want." I've said it. I've said it. If there's a day where I can't come make a live and you guys want to keep things going on the channels, fuck it. Come live and talk. Afro Jam says he probably will soon. He probably will soon because he was prominent in the Ring Magazine Awards. Yeah, he will. If he was so prominent, they should have let him win one of the damn awards. I still don't know how the writers. I still don't know how he got nominated for 3 awards and didn't win at least one of them. Because I really thought to the core of my bones he was winning knockout of the year because he had the best knockout and it was in a title fight and like the optics of his knockout looked the best. And I'm always told that perception is reality, but I guess not. I guess if you're a heavyweight and you knock out Anthony Joshua, who's already been knocked out, and there happens to be a lot of people in the stadium, then that's the best knockout. Even if it's not the most devastating, even if it's not the best, close to the best one that was nominated, Afro Jam says, I agree, comeback of the year, he should have won. I listen, that one, like, I don't want to be mean or rude because, like, Billy Dib did overcome cancer. And that is a big fight. That's the biggest fight possible. But it's just like, aren't the awards supposed to be for boxing? Like, with all the respect for Billy Dib, like, he didn't beat anybody. Like, I get it, he beat cancer, so I'm not trying to be insensitive, but like I've never seen like I feel like he was cheated and robbed. Because Billy Dib should have gotten his own. Billy Dib should have gotten his own separate award and acknowledgement. I don't think he should have taken away from the fighters that were beating high level competition in the ring. He should have gotten his own separate award, and they should have given that to Angelo at least because he actually came back from a lot. But what are your thoughts on IBFP Boxing channel? I mean, I don't really watch his channel like that. I know of him. I've seen content here and there over the years, but I don't really have any thoughts. God bless him, but I don't really watch him if I'm being 100% honest. To be honest, people always come on here and they ask what do I think about certain channels. I don't really watch a ton of channels, and even the channels I like, I don't have time to watch those channels because I'm too busy with my own channel. Agreed. Like Don King got a Lifetime Award where he didn't have to. Exactly. I think that Billy Dib should have been honored in the similar way that Don King was honored. They screwed Angelo out of knockout of the year. He should have got that, in my opinion. But I thought if he wasn't gonna get knockout of the year, okay. But I thought comeback of the year would have been the other award. I'm not gonna argue for him getting upset of the year. Because in my opinion, the Venado Lopez fight wasn't no real upset. I thought he was way better fighter than Venado, and it showed on the night. But Bruno Saras, that's Bruno's award. Bruno deserved that award. No arguments there. Nosy Rosie, what's up? People are funny. People are really, really funny, man. I'm on Twitter right now, right? Because I made a tweet earlier, and I had stated that on Twitter that I want Stephen Fulton to beat Brandon Figueroa in the rematch because I want to see the rematch between Angelo and Stephen Fulton, a unification rematch. And the first fight was very entertaining. Anybody who watched it knows it was an entertaining fight. So this one guy, his name is Vern. He's always dick riding Japanese fighters, and he gets mad, and he always talks the most trash about Angelo, right? And he was like, "Does Angelo Leo pay your rent?" No, he does not. Brandon Taylor pays Brandon Taylor's rent. But I could ask the same question of people that dick ride all the Japanese fighters, in Inoue. Does Inoue pay your rent? No. Okay then. So I can't be a fan of someone I like? Why do people gatekeep? Why do people gatekeep who people are fans of? I don't like Devin. I'm not no big Devin Haney fan, but he's got a lot of people that like him, even though I think Devin Haney's a regular fighter who's really boring in and out the ring. People love Devin Haney. You don't see me saying, why are you a Devin Haney fan? Does Devin Haney pay your rent? Come on, man. We all got our favorites, To be honest, though, technically speaking, as a content creator, technically speaking, any fighter I talk about pays my rent. All of them do. Even the ones that I hate. The ones I like, the ones I hate, the ones I don't care about. Any video you see me make about anybody, shit. I'm making money off of it, so shit. They all pay my rent. Fuck it. All of them do. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Nosy Rosie. AMG Fresh, he said, "What's up, Chief? What's good? What's good, man? Just chilling here, enjoying the live. Got like 5 minutes left, and then I'm gonna dip. But what's up?" YS Yeezy Deer says, "Sup, brother? What's up? What's good? We're just chilling, trying to make sense of this crazy world of boxing and getting people's answering people's questions the best I can." Hopefully next year, though, what I can say is, the Ring Magazine Awards, it was their first time doing it in that fashion. I hope next year they improve upon it, because a lot of fighters that were nominated for awards were not invited, which I think is kind of disrespectful. Like, how can you have an awards, right? And why are all the fighters not invited, right? It almost makes it sound like it was fixed, or that you may have you only want to invite fighters that serve you. And Turkey Al-Sheikh bought Ring Magazine, the biggest publication in all boxing. So my thing is this: if you're gonna have an award show, all the fighters that were nominated for an award should be there. And there were so many fighters that were nominated for awards that were not invited. And I just think that's one thing for next year they got to improve upon. And I have faith that they can, because they should. Because it would be the best thing for boxing to have as many fighters there as possible. Because every fighter who does good enough to get nominated for a Ring Magazine award, they deserve to get the utmost recognition, because this is a hard sport. It's hard to achieve anything. It's hard to become a top 15 contender. It's hard to win your first world title. It's hard to defend a title. It's hard to unify. It's hard to lose the belt and get it back. So it's like, you gotta give every fighter who's putting in that work enough to be nominated for an award their just due by inviting them to the award ceremony. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. I can't believe you've been traveling. I can't believe a Japan fight with Tank. I don't think Tank is gonna fight in Japan. We'll see. I know there's been talks about Inoue and him. Like, people are throwing that idea around out there, because Inoue said that when he fought when he fought Doheny, he rehydrated to 138 pounds on fight night. Tank recently tweeted that he's 139 pounds. So they're kind of like, people are the mindset that they're the same. They're close enough in size to fight. And to me, I've always, like, that fight happening would never surprise me, because that, to me, could possibly be the biggest fight in boxing if it ever did get made. You're talking about the biggest star in Asian boxing right now, not just Japan, but in all of Asia. And then the biggest star of American boxing, I mean, apart from Canelo. Canelo Alvarez sells the most tickets in America, but the biggest star amongst the American fighters is Tank Davis. So you're talking about Japan and USA in a mega event with two fighters that have big fan bases. I mean, that would be a huge event if it ever came off. So, it is what it is. I always say, don't be surprised. If they're talking about Crawford, if they're talking about Crawford versus Canelo, right? We've seen Spence versus Mike Garcia. We've seen Canelo versus Charlo. We've seen all these crazy fights with smaller guys going up in weight. It should never be a shock if in a way, Tank fight ever happens. It's good. Yeah, it's good to see you too, Josie. Thank you. Leo versus Lopez and Bowdy versus Silv KO are both much more emphatic than AJ versus Dubois. I think so, and not just those two. I also think Tank Davis versus Frank Martin was a bigger knockout as well, in my opinion. Iwata versus Noriega, which you should. I remember that. Yeah, that was a big knockout too. That was a big one. There's a lot of great knockouts, man. It's hard. I understand only one guy gets the award, but not everybody did it as an underdog in a title fight. And his was a one-punch knockout. Like, to me, any knockout that ends with one punch should automatically, like, a one-punch knockout should always take precedent over a knockout that's just like 2 or 3 punches. Like, Dubois, I'm pretty sure he had dropped AJ before that one. You could kind of anticipate that he was going to knock out AJ before he got the knockout. Tank had to put his punches together to get the knockout, but Angelo's was one punch and you're out of there. You know, one punch knockouts to me are the best in boxing, and they should always be the leading candidates when we're talking about knockout of the year. That's my opinion. That is just my opinion, but listen, guys, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because I have other things I have to attend to, but I will be live tomorrow. Pops will be on the channel tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune in for Pops. He's gonna come on here, and he's gonna give his thoughts, and he's gonna talk his shit, and he's gonna have a lot of fun doing it. So, definitely looking forward to that. A lot more content on the channel. A lot more things to do on the channel. A lot more place to go and people to see in Japan. And you guys take care. Be blessed. Continue to do your best and have a great start to the year because you only get so much time on earth, so you can't be out here wasting time. So on that note, you guys take care. I'll see you in the next live. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.